And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Connected for Real podcast. Today, I have Rebecca with me, and it is such a pleasure because we worked together over a year ago, and we've stayed friends and we've stayed updated. And I felt like this would be an amazing opportunity for you to hear what it's like, what the journey looks like, and just overall following your calling and leaning into that, which is what Rebecca did a year ago, which is, absolutely blows my mind every time. So we're going to start with Rebecca. Introduce yourself and then we'll get into it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca. I am a wife and mother of 5. I'm a home educator. I also care for my 27-year-old son who's severely disabled, along with my husband. I am just beginning to set up a business, a foot health business, and I'm part of 12-step groups, and I love being on the recovery journey. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Let's start with where you were, because I think when people really hear, maybe they see themselves in that, maybe they're hearing similar thoughts or beliefs. What was it like before we worked together, before you even thought to hire me?
Okay. So where I was before we worked was I was really struggling with low self-esteem, and I joined a 12-step group called Codependence Anonymous, and I was dealing with a lot of needing to self-care, and one of my ways to self-care was I bought myself a dog, and I did a lot of dog walks, which was the way I could get out of the house and just be me and be with my maker. And part of those dog walks, I started listening to podcasts. And one of the podcasts was Rivka Malka. I've listened to Rivka Malka a lot, a coach. And you were interviewing her, I think. And so I listened to you, and that set me off on a whole journey of the calm method and everything. So yeah, low self-esteem was a big thing. People pleasing. I had no goals. I was just stuck in a rut. There was lots of things I was happy about, but it was just kind of a stale happy. Always wanted to be a wife and mother. So I was in the role that I wanted to be, but I just wasn't able to. I remember somebody saying that the worst thing to be written on somebody's gravestone was they had potential. So I felt like, how will people remember me? And I wanted to shine. And I think part of shining was knowing that I have to learn to make myself happy. I can't wait for anybody else to do that for me. So what does that look like? So part of the self-care was being coached by you as well. So it kind of goes 12-step program, Rivka Malka. I listened to all of the things I could, and I kind of ran dry. And then yours, there was a continual flow, and I was like, wow, I could never do, coaching for myself. No, it's just too much. It's too selfish. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. And so we did it.
What made you think I want to do it, even though all the thoughts of I'm not worthy, I don't deserve it, I can't, like, how will I use this money for myself when really I should be using the money on everyone else? How did you deal with all those thoughts? Like, what made you go over the fence?
I think that I knew that if I was in a better place, with myself, then everybody else would benefit from that. I remember hearing somebody say once that if you're all in a play and everyone's got their lines, if each actor has their lines, if one of the actors or actresses changes her lines, everybody else has to change it too. And I felt like giving myself the opportunity to dream more, to reach more goals, to be happy, then other people in my circle could only benefit from that. So it would be a knock-on effect for everybody too in the family. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. So tell everyone where you are now and how way beyond just an effect you had on your life and on everyone else's life.
Where I am now geographically or emotionally?
Emotionally, but you're welcome to tell people where you are geographically too.
Okay, so wow, that's a lot to answer in one question. Let me think. Where am I now? I am in a place now where I'm able to accept things that come my way easier. I know that my maker has a plan, and if something comes my way, which is a struggle, I can go, okay, I accept this. I also am able to sit down and ask how I feel about something, and I'm a lot more aware of what's going on inside. I'm not saying it's perfect, but acceptance, learning that self-care isn't selfish, it's the opposite. And yeah, I do sit down regularly with the calm method, which you taught me, which came actually from the podcast first, is when I heard loads. And every time I listened to a podcast which had the calm method in, I would literally do a search for any of the others that had it in, and the 4 pillars. And so now that is like, for me and for my husband, it is something that's becoming more of a habit. So we'll do the connect to ourselves when we're sitting having a chat about something particularly important or to do with feelings. We will do that as a habitual thing now. How are we feeling? Let's do a feelings check. And then it will go from there sometimes to be, if we need to ask for something, we ask. And then obviously listen for the answer, master a high level of consciousness. So yeah, where am I at now? I don't know if I've answered your question. Where am I at now? I am now somebody who is going more for a broader, my picture is much broader now. And yeah.
How's your self-esteem? You said in the beginning you had very low self-esteem. How is it now? How do you feel about yourself, about the things you're doing, about the direction you're going?
My self-esteem is not completely healed, but it is definitely better. And there are some examples that, one particular example I can use is when a couple of weeks ago I was finishing off my foot health professional qualification in clinic. So we were in clinic for two weeks, and one of the lessons that we had before clinic was we all had to read out a patient, case report. And I noticed that some of the girls looked really, really embarrassed, and I'm looking for red patches on their necks, and you can tell they were really struggling with reading something out. And I thought, wow, I think I probably would have felt like that in time gone by, but not so much now. I think definitely that was a highlighter for me, that my self-esteem was becoming better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you say it's not perfect, it's not healed. I don't think the goal is to fully heal it or to be perfect, because we're all on journeys and we're constantly working to sharpen and, get to the next level. The fact that you're able to be in a social situation with all those people, have the confidence to speak and the confidence to say what you really think, even just sitting with your husband for a meeting and having the courage to say what you really think without worrying about what he'll think about it, or if it's the right thing to say or not, or all the things that used to be in, behind the scenes in the past. That's a win.
It is, for sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more as well, but it's just whether they come to mind or not. One of the things that really helped me, well, there's quite a few things, but after being in your what do we call it, your coaching sessions, you used one that's I think you used it from somebody else, and it was the ATM method.
Yeah.
And that means so I can do that quite regularly now. If I'm catastrophizing about something, I'll go, hold on a minute, and that means, well, it means that no, and that means, and you kind of get yourself along the path, and it's not long before you go, it's a bit like, oh, I'm going live on a podcast with Bat-Chen, that's crazy, I'm probably going to mess it all up, and that means, so what? It's not the end of the world. So yeah, that's I can't remember why I mentioned that, but
yeah, that's from Hannah Mason. I love it's one of my favorite things. It just takes away the armor of, all that fear and the anxiety. Like, okay, my kid is throwing a tantrum, and that means I'm a bad mother, and that means I can't get my act together, and that means that, he's going to grow up to be a monster. No, he's not. He's just throwing a tantrum,
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, so I am a fine mother. Like, it's no judgment on me. But sometimes it's just so helpful to move away from that drama in the brain. That's really great.
Definitely.
Can you describe for people what the private coaching with me is like, and what you loved about it, what you didn't use or what you did use, or how you navigated it?
Okay. One thing I noticed was the weeks in between our sessions went so fast. And before I knew it, it was back round to that night where we would have our meetings. And I do feel like when I look back, I didn't use the WhatsApp contact enough. I could have used the WhatsApp contact much more, and I know that you would have picked up. So that I would change that, but that's myself. That's not anybody else.
And it's amazing. I remember you did send voice notes telling me what you're up to and things, which is, you didn't not use it at all, but you could have used it more for sure. And yet you still got amazing results.
Yeah. I do remember the what would we call them? The sessions when we were like doing this.
Private coaching.
Yeah, the private coaching sessions. Both of us kind of were like shaking our heads at the end going, wow, what happened there? It just was like all the little jigsaw pieces were coming in, and I would say something, you would say something. It would be, wow, we were not expecting that. It was like a private healing session. The light bulbs were just going on constantly with our conversation. Just being open to miracle, really. What else did I like about it? I loved the meditations, but there were so many of them, it was hard to choose which one. I loved the meditations. I quite liked the Byron Katie method. Yeah. I don't actually know the work by Byron Katie. I don't actually remember to go back to that very often. And I think that's because it took a lot of brain power to work through the worksheet. But when we did, because we did it twice, didn't we? It was really powerful. But it's not something that I remember, whereas the calm method, I've got it really well in my brain. Yeah, so it would be using the WhatsApp contact more. But other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I don't think it was. I do remember those coaching hours that we had together were magical, if that's the right word to use. They were magical.
Yeah.
And I would come downstairs and I would say to my husband, "Oh, you never guess what?" And he'd say, "What?" And I'd say, "We spoke about this and we spoke about that, and it links in with this, it links in with that." And it was just, this is what I was thinking. That's what I dreamed about, you know. Yeah, it was super. Yeah.
I think for me, watching you, when we met first, I said, what do you really want? And you said, I don't know, but I want to know what I want. You were in a place where taking care of a disabled child for so many years, on top of the regular life things, and trying so hard to please everyone and make sure there's peace and happy, and you were drained doing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this thing where it's like, if I want to do more, then I have to do more, which would be more draining, and therefore I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to simplify it so much that it almost made more sense to do less and just allow God to take over. And then at the end, we sort of lost touch for a little bit. And then when you sent me back a message, we moved. I'm, finished with my certification. I'm actually doing the thing I love. I'm opening up a business. I'm sitting there like my brain is blown.
Yeah.
How did you do all that in such a short amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all linked to that opening up the channel of letting it be easy and not having to make it so hard.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. I do remember when we sat down and you said what were my dreams, and you asked me to write them down. And one of them was to have kind of a homestead type thing where my children could play outside a lot. And it wasn't until all these things happened in such a short time, and we moved to Serbia. When we got here, I kind of almost had to open my eyes again and blink and realize that actually, without realizing it, the kind of property that we've got is a homestead. But it kind of happened by accident, but I know it's not by accident, because I know that my maker knows what I want. And not only that, was the thing that I wanted to do was the foot nurse thing, which actually goes back to, I'll tell you the story quickly. When I was about 10 or 11, we used to swim a lot, and we all got verrucas for some reason. So in our town, we had a school of chiropody. And so people who wanted to have their verrucas seen to, they were guinea pigs. So my mum used to take us all to have our verrucas seen to. And I remember sitting in the chair saying, I want to be one of those people. I want to be that chiropodist. It's a podiatrist now. And so I went home all joyful and said, I want to be a chiropodist. And my dad said, oh, there's a lot of academic work for a chiropodist, which was him saying, set yourself up for some hard work. But I heard, you're not good enough, you can't do it. So I always had this idea that I wanted something, but I was never good enough for it. Even though my dad didn't mean that, that's what I heard. And so it was because of me saying, what is it I want to do? What are my goals? What are my dreams? What would I have liked to have done? I thought, you know what? If other people can be a chiropodist, why can't I? So I just got onto Google. And I thought, yeah, I can do it. I can do it online. And I went through a big battle of academic learning, which was something that I was never used to. But in the space of me joining this online foot nurse qualification, the moving thing also happened at the same time. So I thought, oh, how am I going to be a foot nurse in Serbia? Well, Serbians need foot nurses. So here I am, we moved in July, and now I've qualified, and it's like my next thing is taking it to the town where I am. They've got to learn some Serbian as well. But yeah, just so that idea of not noticing that something's happening, then I open my eyes and I go, wow, look where we are, and look what I've got to give, and how amazing this is. Yeah. So
If I told you a year ago that you were going to be on a podcast talking about all the dreams coming true and you feeling so confident about what you're doing, would you believe it?
No. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't be able to believe that, had happened in such a short time. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. But
you're part of the story, so
I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for being part of the story. I remember when you scheduled your call, and I thought, how did she find me?
Oh, really?
And you said, I've been listening to you for 2 years. And I thought, wow. So that's great. You know everything. And that was really fun because you were so ready and so clear. You jumped right in. We went deep. It was so great. How does that feel to have that calling so loud and so clear that you just knew you had to do it?
I think it was more a case of, if I don't take this now when it's being offered to me, I might regret it. And actually also I feel that it might be a spit in the face of my maker. That if I'm offered something and I go, nah, I just can't do that. That would be like, that's not very grateful. And it's not very, you're not stepping out of your comfort zone. And I think life is worth the risk. Because at the end of the day, it's like moving to Serbia. Okay, so if it doesn't work out, we can go back again, no big deal. I'm kind of almost listening to myself as I'm speaking, thinking, wow, life is worth living, and it is so short. Let's do this. Let's make things better.
Did you believe that you'd be able to say that? I mean, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
It blows mine too. It blows mine too. Yeah.
That's amazing. So for those of you listening, I am at capacity right now. We're speaking in December, but in January, I am opening doors again, and you are welcome to come and work with me privately. I only work one-on-one. It's a 3-month program. It's called Balance for God's Sake, because we're balancing all the parts of ourselves and creating flow. And it includes one-on-one sessions. It includes WhatsApp support. It includes sessions and trainings and meditations. What would you say to someone who's listening to this going, ooh, I think I want that, but I can't have it?
I would say to them, if you've got the idea that might well be for you, don't think twice. Just do it. Yeah, it's expensive, but it's somebody's livelihood. It's Bat-Chen's livelihood. It's what she likes to do. It's why she does what she does. Go for it. What could you lose?
Right. I mean, the return on investment for you, I'm just thinking the money, right? It was expensive because at the time you weren't working, you were homeschooling and taking care of everyone else. It was probably a gigantic expense. It's, just for you guys listening, it's $2,500 for 3 months of coaching, and it's very well worth it. But when you're in that situation, it's very hard to see the return on investment of how this short time of 3 months can really affect the rest of your life.
Definitely. And if you take it week by week and you work out how much it is per week, you think it's a no-brainer. Because it's a life changer. It really is. And it's not always about being able to go into business. It's about that satisfaction of, I haven't gone, that gravestone idea where, oh, she had potential. I'm trying to reach those potentials now while I can, while I'm in my body. And yeah, it's definitely, it's a no-brainer for me. I just think money's not, it is an issue for some people. Thankfully, my husband was, if you think that's the right thing for you to do, go ahead. Let's work out the money, to cut some corners here and there. And yeah, if you were to ask him now, would you, how do you see Rebecca after coaching? He would say, yeah, absolutely, hands down, do it again, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think of return on investment. I put in $2,500 and I got out, selling my house and buying a homestead and going for my dreams. But there's so many little tiny details that are behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Your relationship with your husband, your relationship with your kids, with your disabled son.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I think the one that probably stands out the most is the bit where I talked about when you change the way you see things and the way you speak, everybody else has to follow. I know for me, a lot of the, I'm not sure if this is relatable, but one of the big things that I have learned is when there is tension between one or other of people in the house, that it's not me. I'm able to step back, let go. If I need to step in and say something, I can, but otherwise I stick to my own lane. And that has been really, really helpful for me in terms of relationships within the family. I'm not sure if I answered your question. Did I go off on a tangent? Did I answer your question?
Whatever it is exact because God made it that way. Yeah. How is your relationship with your husband now that you feel more confident speaking your opinions, saying the things that really matter to you, not always trying to bend over for him?
Again, it goes back to that, the idea, which I think was on one of your podcasts, is you not to try and find your happiness. My husband will make me happy. No, he won't. That's not what this is about. You need to create your own. You need to be happy with yourself. If you're happy with yourself, happy wife, happy home, as they say, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. There's a lot less tension. I am a lot more laid back, less tense, more honest, more daring, more risky. Yeah, it's good. I think it's scary. I think it's scary for him because I'm this kind of, sometimes might kind of have a look and I'll go, yeah, I'm just being honest. I'm not saying it mean. I'm just saying what I mean. Yeah, really good. Really good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love that you taught your husband the calm method and that you used it in your conversations, because these were hard conversations. Taking care of a disabled 27-year-old is not, something that you sit over, just like chilling about. These are big things. Yeah. And even just moving him and all of his things and the entire family, it's amazing to me that you were able to not only learn it and keep it within yourself, but also share it in a way that was accepted in such a strong way.
Yeah, well, it was again one of those evenings where running down the stairs after one of the coaching sessions, I've got to teach you this method. I've got to teach you this method. Come on then. Okay. He's probably thinking, yeah, well, let's see. And it all made total sense to him. It's like, hold on a minute. So what you're saying is we have to do this next, and then it was great. It worked. It really,
Yeah.
really worked. And we did use the method quite, a lot straight away. And now it's still in our vocabulary. Oh yeah, there's the calm method. Let's not forget the calm method. But in those early days, it was like, we were doing it every day about something. And it really does help. It really does
Yeah.
help.
I love that you said it's an easy tool in your pocket, because that was my goal. I didn't want it to be overwhelming. One of my values is being practical, and having to be here in this world running a life is the last thing you have is, an hour to sit down and do some, fancy method. Um, the calm method really is so, so powerful. And when combined together with the coaching and with all of the other resources, it's really been a real gift for me to watch it,
Yeah.
flourishing.
Yeah. It took me a little while, but like I say, I was listening to podcasts as well. So after I'd listened to some more of the podcasts, and then we went through the method, it finally, the penny dropped, and now it just comes second nature. When I hear the calm method, it's like, oh yeah, we know that one. But it definitely is a lifesaver, definitely.
That's
My
amazing.
tool belt.
That's amazing. Ah, thank you, God. What a gift. You are a gift to the world. This is just absolutely amazing. I think that people are sitting there wondering, you know, and you might have wondered this too. I'm sitting here listening to the podcast. She's always in my ear, but there's a distance between having her in my ear and being part of her life. Do you feel like I am relatable and, a good friend once you already got to know me? Like, am I the same on both sides of?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like you say, there's sometimes a little stint of time where we're not in contact, but as soon as we're back in contact, it's like, oh yeah, we remember, this is where we were. Wow, you've changed. Da, 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 definitely relatable, definitely very. I felt in our sessions that it was almost as much for you as it was for me. Do you know what I mean? It felt like there was stuff going on both sides, and we were both growing together, even though you were the one who was leading it, so to speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I think that's part of the fun. I when I was working on my business really early on, I heard Marie Forleo. She said in one of her videos or something, like, I didn't follow her for a long time, but I caught a couple of things that she said that were really great. And she said, you can choose if you want to be a guide on the side or a sage on a stage, you know? And I thought, oh, I'm for sure a guide on the side. Like, we are in this together. I am taking the hike with you and we are walking, you know? And it really was an intentional decision to be as honest, as open, as relatable. I open up behind behind the scenes of my own life, and I am so happy to hear that you could see that on the other side too.
There's one thing that I do remember, and it's happened more than once. One of the things I really, really appreciated, I think it was on the work by Byron Katie. You did the worksheet yourself on something to do with one of your kids. And that is so relatable to me when you or whoever I'm working with gives a life story, an experience. That's how I learn. If I can connect to that person on in real life, they have problems too. It really, really helps me. So yeah, very much real life. Bat-Chen's just as much a person as anybody else. Has troubles, has problems, and gets through them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. One of the reasons, one of the things I remind myself when I get, because I tend to be a perfectionist and I want things to be perfect. And then I get annoyed that things aren't perfect. And then I have to remind myself, you know why I'm not perfect? so I can do this work. Because if I was perfect, you guys would be like, yeah, whatever. She thinks she
Yeah.
knows, she thinks she knows. She thinks she got it all down.
There's nothing worse for me personally than feeling like I'm listening to a podcast where they've got it all. Nah, it doesn't work for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This has been amazing. And, one of the things I noticed, and I think I want to really call out, is you didn't have a business. Most of the time I speak about marriage and business and how they relate and that intersection between your success. And you, when you, when you were clear, I got a calling, I need to go after my dreams. I don't know what those are, but I got to do something. And you knew that I was the person you wanted to work with. It didn't matter. It was all the tools and all the skills and all the things I teach were perfect, even though you had nothing at the time.
Life was the business, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Life was the business for me
Yeah.
back then. Yeah, it didn't matter at all.
Yeah. And it's beautiful to watch how it led you to be confident enough to really go after your dreams and now open up a business. So it's been, it's been a real confirmation for me. When people say, I don't have a business, can I still join? Yes, you can join.
Absolutely.
The only time I'll say no is, I'm not married. Can I join? No, I only work with married women because I really, really find that niche to be the thing that lights me up. And it doesn't matter where the marriage is at. If you're married and you are, here to work, here to make it work,
Yeah,
then yeah, this is just amazing.
it is.
What advice can you give someone who's listening now and sort of on the fence?
Don't sit on the fence. You might get wood chippings in your legs or your backside. Don't sit on the fence. Either do it or don't do it. Make your mind up. Just do it. Yeah. If it's right, it'll be right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to give people the heads up. Now it's December. There's still time. You guys can get your act together, your ducks in a row. You can start to figure out the money or whatever it is. But really, when you start to really think about it and wonder what is possible for me, right? There isn't any promise. There's no promise that you will sell your house and move to a different country, or that you're going to go and learn a new, a new thing or whatever. That's your life, and that's the possibility that became open for you. And then I want people to think, what's possible for me? What happens when I let myself follow the calling and really show up for my job, my purpose in this world for God's sake, and I think that's when the magic starts to happen, is when you allow the question of what's possible for me.
I think for me, the way I see it is the way that things went in my life, the path that was before me. Things were happening that all led to and were stepping stones to recovery, let's say. And you were one of those stepping stones. Another chapter, so then that stepping stone of being with you will head me off onto another stepping stone, and it's all part of, for me, the big picture. Yeah, definitely.
This is
Big
so
old
beautiful.
tapestry.
This is so beautiful. Oh, I love it when we talk and suddenly I feel open and grateful and just completely uh lighting up. It's really a gift.
It is.
Is there anything else you want to add before we end?
Just a gratitude for your smile, your eyes, you really light up. I can see that this is what you absolutely love to do, and just grateful for my maker that I was able to have this conversation, have the coaching, listen to your podcasts, know you, and it's all part of life's rich tapestry. So yeah, very grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank you
you.
so much. If somebody lives in Serbia and they want to get their pedicure, where should they go?
Well, I don't actually have my business cards ready yet, but I live in the northwest of Serbia. So I have Croatia and Hungary as very close borders to both countries. So I'm in a town which I don't really want to mention online, but if anybody wants to get hold of me, they can
Yeah.
through you.
Yes, definitely. If you
Yeah.
write me an email, I will pass it along with
Okay.
with pleasure. We're going to
Wonderful.
link my email down at the bottom in the show notes. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming
Thank you.
and
Thank
for being
you.
so open and so honest and so courageous
Yeah.
and really, you say your self-esteem is still healing, and I'm seeing, wow. If
Really?
this is if you think, if you think you still have a way to go, then really pause and celebrate how far you've come, because being able to come and speak about it and really hold your head up high in this
Yeah.
journey and how far you've come, I am just taking my hat off for you.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you are interested in coming and working with me, you can go to connectedforreal.com and click on private coaching, and you'll be taken to a page with all the details. You can schedule a discovery call right now, whenever you'd like, even if it's before January, and we'll set up everything behind the scenes if it is ready for you. And, if you want to get on my email list and get the guide to unravel overwhelm, which is a free guide that is going to help you do exactly that, unravel the overwhelm, then go to connectedforreal.com/guide and enjoy it. Thank you so much to Rebecca, and don't forget to be connected for real.